Hi there. Good morning. I am your host of Heal Yourself Gwinnett. My name is Dr. Lauren Millman, and we are here today with a very special guest. As a practitioner, one of the things that I find is really important. A discussion that I like to have with my patients a lot is about functional strength. So today I have with us a very special guest. His name is Grant Hughes. He's a certified personal trainer. And I would say that Grant is a specialist with functional strength. Hi, Grant. How you doing today?
Good, Lauren. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to have you too. Grant is not only, aside from the fact of being a friend, he is a professional contact that we tend to work a lot together with mutual clients. And there was no one better to come in today and talk with us about functional strength than Grant with us today. So I actually asked him. I gave him the option to outline exactly how he wanted to, or what he would say about functional strength. And so Grant, go ahead and for those out there that don't really would know what that statement really is, functional strength, elaborate a little bit for that for us, please.
Sure. Well, a better way to define it or just a true definition would be functional strength would be the practice of motion against resistance with an objective of improving a participant's ability to perform a specific athletic activity. Or another way to state it would simply be saying training the body for the activities performed in daily life. Mm-hmm. So that's one real short and sweet definition I like to give when trying to describe how I prefer to train clients compared to what you might experience in another setting.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And now, for those of there who are not strangers to a gym, you will walk into any gym out there, and for the most part, there are trainers in that gym. Describe a little bit more about what you do that would be a little different than maybe the trainer that you would meet in any of the gyms that you would run into.
Sure. What I'd like to do is give the audience maybe 5 things that they could take away from our conversation today, mm-hmm. or 5 things that they didn't know about functional strength training. One is just to simply go down the list to improve one's quality of life. We'll get more specific in just a moment if you'd like in regards to each one of these 5 topics. But the second one would be to improve athletic performance. Third would be to restore faulty movement patterns from repetitive stress and or trauma, mm-hmm. Which is something that you might experience within your practice or others in the medical community might experience. Mm-hmm. Fourth would be to simply provide another metric in order to show improvement with one's physical program outside of just simply looking at resistance mm-hmm. by lifting more weight per se. Mm-hmm. And then the final one, and one of the most important ones to me, is decreasing the risk of injury.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like how you've outlined it, and it is very different than, on a personal note. Working with someone who specializes with functional strength is very different than traditional strength training or traditional weightlifting. But I'll let you go in and elaborate a little bit more about. I guess for me, what I would be curious to know is talking a little bit more about improving the quality of life.
Sure. Well, just as simply put, that this term functional strength kind of got its origins in rehabilitation training. Mm-hmm. So you've seen a lot of studies over the last few years using this type of training with stroke rehabilitation, not specifically limited to that, but also just using that as an example of one end of the spectrum that you could see benefits by implementing this type of training. Another is to simply incorporate it into activities of daily living. Now that can have a wide range of ideas or topics pertaining to the individual. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that's also very important to note, is because functional strength is also going to be relative to the person or to the participant. Mm-hmm. So that can look very different from an athlete versus someone who is 92 years old who simply needs to be able to get up and down out of a chair more efficiently.
Absolutely. And I know, one of the reasons why I know that it's important to work on this side is not everyone's trying to be able to, bench press, over 100 pounds. How are you going to be able to get up and out of bed, get up and out of a chair, climb up and down stairs, and the actual functional movements that you do day to day. So, and then preparing a routine that can improve that. So, absolutely.
That's a great point because, depending on where one is in their own physical performance or capabilities, once again, the function is simply going to be in the eye of the beholder. Mm-hmm. So, for someone that has very different goals, this term can be fluid, but yet have some very very concrete things that you want to try to make sure that you include in their program.
Mm-hmm. Now, how would you describe, or how would you describe how you evaluate someone if you're looking to improve with them in this direction?
That's a great question. What I generally try to do is take a look at the movements that the human body performs, and then simply evaluate them on those raw movement skills. What I'm trying to look at there is movement efficiency. So if there's limitations within that movement, we need to understand why. And in order to make sure that I can get a full range of motion without increasing the risk of injury, I need to understand why that movement may not look the way that it should.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And you're constant using evaluations along the way, and then enhancing and improving as people are going through, and improving based on where they are, just like you already talked about where they are, because we all could have different needs for sure. So talk to a little bit more, and you kind of already have, maybe expand a little bit more maybe on the rehabilitative side.
Sure. One of the things with rehabilitation that you look for is just being able to have full joint range of motion, joint mobility and stability, being able to improve efficiency of movement patterns, which is going to be somewhat different from what you might experience in a typical gym where you have a lot of stationary machines. Mm-hmm. Those are going to provide you generally one plane of motion, which is very different from functional training. You're going to be able to provide multiple planes of motion with those, which is going to provide someone like an athlete much more movement efficiency, and also increase the demand, which their strength, relative strength, is going to go up tremendously. Simply because they're having to incorporate a lot more movements in order to perform that skill.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Now, and it kind of is like flowing right into, you talked about the risk of injury, and with your analysis, is it safe to say that you can, you're looking at certain things and you can see these, the weaknesses in certain areas, and custom tailor a routine specific to keeping that someone not only pain free, but increasing their strength. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, actually, there was a study done in 2009, and it compared two groups. One group was incorporating or engaging in more of a functional strength training program, compared to one group who was doing primarily stationary machines as their primary source of resistance training. In that group, what they found is there was a 58% increase in strength over the fixed form group, as well as a balance improvement of 196%.
Wow.
Versus the fixed group. By incorporating more exercises that require multiple joints to be moved, it gives a lot more stimulus from the brain to the muscular system, as well as the nervous system, which is going to require a lot more joints to be moved. Muscles, once again, are going to be incorporated and stimulated that wouldn't be involved in the exercise or the activity if they were just simply on a fixed plane.
Mm-hmm. Now, this actually just came to me, and that if someone was there, that the listeners that are out there listening to this right now, if there's someone listening going, this sounds really interesting, this sounds like something that I certainly don't know a lot about, I would like to find some more, what would you tell them? Or if that person too, well, the first question would be, what would you possibly mention to them? And secondly, if that person who has some, maybe if they're nervous about working with a trainer, because certain trainers have, there's been a bad rap with sometimes with working with certain trainers. What would you say to, I know you get those people. I know they do find you because of your unique way with them. What do you say to that person?
Give us a shot. We simply offer a complimentary consultation and assessment where I take them through these movement screens and skills that I'm referring to earlier in our conversation. We offer a complimentary consult. So they can simply come in, take a look at what we offer, and if they decide that it's not for them, then there's no obligation to them. They can also check out our website at benefitpersonalfitness.com. That's got some great ways for us, for them to reach out to us and engage us. We also offer a newsletter where they can continue to kind of get information from us in terms of our philosophical beliefs on fitness, strength training, and nutrition.
Wonderful. I would say as we're kind of getting here now to the end, one thing that I would say, and that whenever I'm speaking with with my clients about this topic, whenever I have spoken with them about you, is I've said that you were almost a hybrid. You were almost a hybrid of personal training and physical therapy to a degree. And not that I know that you don't have a physical therapy degree background, but your hybrid and how you've been able to incorporate so many different aspects back in this functional movement, which is why I found that we can have a tremendous amount of improvement in even relatively short periods of time, because you can really get down and isolate very, very specific areas and specific muscle groups. So that was just my 2 cents of, I think, your very specific work in this and taking, getting stronger to more of a functional component to, or doing a functional way as opposed to, maybe other methods. So, anything else that you would like to add, Grant?
No, I really appreciate you guys giving us an opportunity to come and share what we do. And, we would just encourage anyone that's out there that does have some reservations, maybe of going into a bigger setting, just to reach out to us, let us show them what we can do. And once again, there's no obligation to test us and see what we can do for them.
And where can they find you again?
benefitpersonalfitness.com.
And where is that located?
In Swanee, Georgia.
Very good, sir. So that kind of fits the mold for continuing to heal yourself, Gwinnett people. This is your host, Dr. Lauren Millman, and we look forward to seeing you next time.